Hello. About 6 months ago I published A New America, and since then thousands of people have downloaded or read it online. In Chapter 9 I wrote about guns, violence, our Second Amendment rights, and how we can have a rational discussion about gun control, working to keep us and our children safer from gun violence. I wrote about this before the shooting in Las Vegas and long before the recent school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Every time a tragedy like this occurs, there's a public outcry about gun control, and Congress says they'll do something about it, but of course, they never do. After the Parkland shooting, the president's first response was to blame the FBI. Then he tried to change the subject by talking about the Russia investigation, and then he called for a commission to study school safety. Do we need a commission to study school safety? Well, maybe we do, but that's not really the point. The point, of course, is that nowhere in the president's reaction to yet another slaughter of school children was the idea that we might want to start having a serious conversation about gun control. And why is that? Why, when it is so obvious to anybody who's paying attention that we must get these weapons out of the hands of civilians, can the president not manage to say anything about gun control? We all know why. No matter how many massacres with guns occur in this country, the public's clear desire to control these kinds of weapons never seems to result in Congress or the White House actually taking any action, because Mr. Trump and such a significant portion of our Congress take so much money from the NRA and other anti-gun control groups that it is impossible to have a rational conversation on this subject, and it is utterly impossible to pass meaningful legislation aimed at stopping the slaughter. And because of the financial influence that the NRA and the rest of the gun lobby exert over Congress and the White House, a tiny fraction of the American public is controlling one of the most important issues in this country. The most recent proposal by the president and some of his conservative cronies is that we arm all public school teachers. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because I really want my child's third grade teacher packing a semi-automatic handgun in her classroom. I feel better already. But wait a minute, there actually is an upside to this idea. If every adult in our public schools has a firearm, at least the kids who want to kill other students won't have to go to all the trouble of buying guns and bringing them to school. This way, all the 180-pound senior wrestling student has to do is take a gun from the 110-pound woman who's his English teacher. Not gun control, more guns. That's their solution. Today, Senator Marco Rubio came to the incredible realization that one of the reasons the body count is so high in these terrible events is because of the availability of large-size ammo clips. And he went even further to say he would think about supporting limitations on the sale of these large ammo clips. He's going to think about it. You know who's taking the lead on this? Not the White House, not Congress. No, it's our children laying down in front of the White House and marching on the Florida State House trying to get our attention. It's even longtime Republican donors who are finally saying enough is enough. There are lots of reasons that some people oppose even the most obvious gun control needs. Thanks to the NRA, a lot of people believe that getting the most dangerous weapons off our street is just a first step. It's a slippery slope toward taking away all guns. And that's just not true. It's a lie. And it's a lie that's been repeated so many times that some people actually believe it. Also, a lot of people believe that the Second Amendment gives them the absolute, unchangeable right to have any gun they want and to have any number of guns that they want, and that's not true either. Men who could not have conceived of the killing power of automatic weapons wrote the Second Amendment almost 250 years ago. But in spite of that, people who oppose gun control hold so tenaciously to their misreading of that document that they are willing to continue to place in jeopardy the life of every citizen in this country. Allowing those weapons in the hands of civilians is not upholding the Constitution. It is a dangerous and purposeful perversion of its intent. In Chapter 9 of A New America, I talk in more detail about what the Second Amendment really says and what it really means in the 21st century. In addition to our concerns about the endless carnage, we also need to consider the safety of law enforcement officers. The brave men and women who protect us deserve better than to have their lives further endangered by political squabbling, dishonesty, and greed. We owe them more than that. We owe them the opportunity to do their jobs without having to worry that a routine traffic stop or a domestic disturbance call is going to end in a hail of gunfire from automatic weapons. Now let's not kid ourselves. The result of the current public outcry will not amount to much. In the last few days, hardly 1 week after the Parkland shooting, the Florida legislature failed to move an assault weapons ban out of committee, voting it down essentially on strict party lines. And that was with all the pressure of the recent shooting and shooting survivors literally standing outside the Capitol in Tallahassee. And the current US Congress will also fail us. They will either pass no legislation or they will pass some watered down, meaningless bill that they believe will quiet the public for a while without really changing anything. And most importantly for their campaign funding, they will pass a bill that is sure not to ruffle the NRA. In 2018, we must elect enough like-minded, uncompromising gun control advocates to the US House and Senate that they will be able to draft and pass real gun control legislation. Sending that bill to Mr. Trump's desk and in the face of this public outrage, daring him not to sign it. And finally, in genuine defense of the Second Amendment, when we finally remove the assault weapons, the other automatic weapons, the huge ammo clips, and the gun show and online sales loopholes, we still will not have infringed on the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Guns designed for and appropriate for hunting, target shooting, and personal safety will still be legal. The only thing we will have infringed on is the right of deranged, angry, mentally disturbed, or other violent persons to slaughter innocent people in public places, in schools, and in our streets. And that's an infringement I think we can live with. Be safe, spread the word, and we'll talk again soon.